Oh, what we started, don't we?
Yeah. I was just waiting for you. Hello and welcome back to Shirts in Time. Me, Jake Shirts, wonderful co-host Dan, aka Shirt Stuff 83, aka Intro Ruiner. How are we doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Let's just say we'll keep it between ourselves. We'll keep it in the family. That bit of humour. God, how you doing, Jake? Your voice is a bit husky, mate. You feeling all right?
I don't know what's wrong with it. I had like a sore throat this morning, and then a bit of a cold, but I feel all right. It's just my voice.
Was it?
Maybe
Is it from screaming for fuck's sake at the TV for about hour and a bit? Watching Man United scrape a point against Bournemouth.
My hour and a bit.
Anything to do with that?
Do you mean since August?
Oh yeah, sorry, August. Yeah.
Since May. When did Fergie leave? 2014.
Yeah, since kickoff, 23rd August, 2014, my voice has started to fail.
I think when West Brom scored their 5th goal in that 5-5 draw, I think it's been on the rope since then.
Oh my God, I remember that game. What a tribute to Fergie.
That was just like a genuine sign of things to come on it.
Yeah. It was like everyone else was like, yeah, right, we'll save it for next year. West Brom were like, nah, fuck it, let's get it going now. Let's kick off this new era.
Here's a fucking thing. Here's what you could have won.
They come out to your live and kick it advert. Everyone's there going, well, what do you mean? New beginnings here.
So last week, mate, obviously we did the football shirt derby special. I really struggled to find a title for a name for it. But I decided with football shirts and football derbies.
Yeah.
And we hinted at an Italian special this week.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
sì. Molto bene.
I say we hinted. You kind of blackmailed me really with it, but I mean,
I railroaded you.
Yeah.
Or in true Married at First Sight style, I gaslighted you into it.
Yeah, you were saying all these. You weren't saying very nice things, but I was just nodding, going, "Yeah, he's right. Yeah. He makes me feel safe and secure."
Yeah,
kind of.
Good. Yeah, feels nice. Hey, sleep well.
I don't even watch it now. Fucking when I was watching it downstairs before, I was just like, "You sleep well?" I was like, "What the fuck? Oh God." Anyway, we're not doing your actual love of Married at First Sight. We'll do Italian football shirts, Italian derbies, your special, your love, your true love. Which derby are we kicking off with?
Mate, as we all know, I'm a massive Sampdoria fan. So we, I don't know if you know.
No. I just thought Southampton was your team. That was it. But
I'll tell you what, mate. Me and you, that's it. We're done. I can't wait for that FA Cup semi. It's Chelsea, innit? Cohen Chelsea.
No, we got Coventry.
Oh, Coventry, Cohen and Coventry up the Sky Blues. I want a Sky Blue final. That's what I want.
I mean, if Coventry have to stop the treble, we're in serious trouble. Saying that, Southampton stopped the quadruple last season with what's his name? Welsh manager. Can't remember his name.
Oh, I know the one you talk about. Useless prick.
Nathan Jones.
That's him, yeah. We actually, as we like to call him, Agent Jones down here.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Yeah, did a great job. I mean, I thought he was fantastic. I can't believe they even got rid of him. I thought they were just great form. Solid, consistent, fantastic. We were loving it.
So, like, Sully Montari stopped United winning their second treble, and Nathan Jones stopped City winning the quadruple.
Slightly different qualities in player as well. One went on to win the treble with Inter Milan. The other one's scratching around outside like League One grounds. He's actually in League One in a minute. Who's he managing? I can't remember. It's someone awful. Someone below Pompey, which is the lot.
23 just 23 teams to pick out of them.
Just all the entire division's worse than ours. Like, yeah, that's right. I don't know, mate. He's useless. But yeah, I've got thanks very much for sending me down that absolute El Clasico wormhole. No, It's not usually that you've derailed my intro. This is someone else.
Revenge.
So I'm gonna just get the Sampdoria one out of the way. So it's the Sampdoria. We've got a few rivals actually, which we might not know about. We really don't like Torino. Probably one of our biggest like unfavourable teams. We don't like teams like Cremonese, because they are rivals with Parma, and Cremonese have a Gemelagio, which is, as you'll find out, Gemelagio is like a sort of twinning, it's like family cousins, basically. It roughly translates as, and it's where two clubs get on, and you sort of inherit their derbies a little bit as well. So if you have a Gemelagio or a friendship, this year, because Sampdoria are mates with loads of teams that are usually smaller than us, we're now in the same division with all of our mates. So every time we're going away, half the away games that should be like turning up and having scraps, you turn up and having these massive like festivals, and you get to see each other's songs, and it's really weird. They're in great places. So like Parma, we got one with really strong one with Parma, to the extent where once we won, this is like the opposite to derbies. So we had one game away at Parma 5 years ago, and both the clubs made one-off kits where they basically took the colours of the shirts for the respective teams and swapped it into their designs. So Parma wore the blue circle design, but they put in the blue, red, white, blue, red, yellow, and white into their band.
Oh wow!
So Parma did that, and then Sampdoria did the cross shirt that they had at the time that Parma had, so the cross design, but they did it in the Sampdoria's sort of colours. So it was like blue, white band, then into like a red and red one in the middle, going across. Worth having a little look. So that's 2019. Really sought after kit. The Sampdoria one, the Parma one, you can get for fun. Right, they made quite a lot more of them, but the Sampdoria one is always good money.
Oh,
300 quid plus.
Yeah, it's a 2018-19, and it's actually called the Friendship shirt. Well, that's what it's called in Football Kit Archive.
Yeah, that's it. So it's worn in the game.
That's actually one-off. Nice.
Super popular. And when we went up to we went to Parma this year, because a lot of the time, with the way Parma have been recently, for those who don't know, that Parma have been very much up and down. It's not the glory days of old, not European finals and all that sort of stuff, and Thuram and Crespo. It's all rebirths and bankruptcies and Serie C and Serie D and goodness knows what else. So anyway, we don't play each other that often. So when we do, it's a much more much bigger occasion. Parma on for winning the league this year. They're miles clear at the top of Serie B. So yeah, a little bit of side thing. So when you go around the country, when you go around Italy, sometimes you sort of inherit a derby. So like Sampdoria might not really get on with Cremonese very well. Stuff like
that. That's so bizarre, but I actually kind of like that. Oh, like big brother, little brother. Oh, like my mate doesn't like you. My mate doesn't like you, so I don't like you.
That's it. That is, mate. It's exactly that. Or it's like that one time you finish school at the same time as a school nearby, and you come out, and then like you have to you just end up in a scrap with the kids because they took too long to go home. Or something like that. I don't know. It'd be one of those weird ones. So that's the flip side of it. For all the sort of scrapping sort of games, you get these sort of less ones. There's other teams who have like small derbies, or not so small. So for instance, next weekend Sampdoria have got, this is another sort of tale of it. Sampdoria playing Spezia. So down the road from flying to Genoa, and you go eastwards down the coast, down the Riviera, through the Cinque Terre, Portofino, all that sort of loveliness, and then you end up down in Spezia. Now Spezia is another naval city. They've got like a much more naval dockyard. Genoa is a bit more commercial, to say the least. And Spezia and Sampdoria used to be really good mates. Like I remember when I think Spezia won a league or they got promoted, and we were like, yeah, well done, guys. And they got into Serie A and just turned into it completely went sour. Like it went the other way completely.
Did they get too big for their boots? Did they go, oh, we're in Serie A now?
Yeah, it was weird. It's like, fuck you guys, won't give a shit. Like we're here now. Like we're gonna be. It's almost like they just wanted to step out of the shadow because we were on the way down at the time. But that's not lasted very well because Spezia are, if we beat them, they are really in the shit. So that's now quite a tasty game. It's got to the point where you sort of know the games aren't good because they want to, whenever you go to the away games, they go, yeah, bring whoever you want, have fun, or you've got to have your fidelity card. So in this instance, for the Spezia away game, the police were like, you can't get a ticket unless you are from Genoa, like from Liguria. You can't, to travel down. It was all a bit sort of testy in terms of getting tickets. I secured my one today thanks to the guys like Angelo and Tommy down at Samtube. They sorted our one, but it's one of those ones that you'd struggle to get it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. There's a lot of talk about like people, if they weren't going to be able to get, if they weren't going to be able to sort out the ticketing issues, people try and get tickets in the home end, and then their ultras would go into the like more around the ground, and they'd be like scrapping in the stands because that's happened before. Yes. So that's another instance where usually you went down there and you'd be able to sit down and do whatever and be a Samp fan in with their fans and no one really care. It sort of got a bit sour, a bit testy, and a bit scrapping and things like that. So it does flip. You can have one that a Gemma Lazio used to be there, then in this case isn't. But it's great to see Spezia hopefully send down a Serie C to sort of get back to, just to remind them where they are.
We've gone from alienating Irish, Swindon, the Scottish, Geordies, and now we're at Spezia.
That's right, mate. That's right. But I won't dwell on Sampdoria's derbies too long. So we don't like Torino. We don't really like Inter Milan. We don't like Roma. No one does. I suppose we probably don't really like Lazio. Again, not many teams. They're not very. They're not. There's some very unpopular teams. For when they go into cities. So I'll just quickly go to the most recent Lanterna, which was the last one. Basically, we won, sent them down, we stayed up. And so on the back of that, in the 90th minute, this guy here, Emile Aldero, saved a terrible penalty kick awarded by VAR. And he basically, it's just been immortalised with that. People have got this tattooed on them. I've got the match result from that and the date from this game tattooed on my arm. It's just brilliant. So that's that there. That's the kit we wore from that day. That's the 21-22 home kit. And I've gone for the lad who crossed the ball, which is Tommaso Augello. If you ever Google him, he has the most mesmeric eyes you will ever see on a human being. I do warn you, it is. I'm not even taking a piss. They are ridiculous. They're like silvery blue. It's like he's had spice. It's like he was on Arrakis. And
I've just recently watched Dune, so I can actually understand that reference.
I'm glad you got into it, mate. Thank you very much. And then in that case, we've got Emile Aldero, who's basically like the Paul Atreides of Genoa still, just for that penalty save, and who's actually coming back to us. Inter Milan, in their rather non-existent wisdom, don't deem Emile Aldero to be good enough to sign for Inter Milan, so we're getting him back in the summer. They've chosen not to take up the option on an absolute tremendous goalkeeper. So that's a little bit of a derby. So that's the Sampdoria derby with Genoa is the Derby della Lanterna, and it's called the Derby della Lanterna because it's the derby of the lighthouse. Because in the middle of the harbour, there's a big lighthouse that overlooks sort of the turns you come into the harbour mouth. It's like a big walled off bit to the sea, and you come in along this long, like sort of canal thing that's it's a bit weird. You've got to go there to see it. It's quite unique.
Yeah.
So you come along there, and there's the big lighthouse.
I've just had a brief look through, Genoa's kits before we went live, and again, with a lot of the shirts we did last week, the modern day ones, I'm talking maybe from 2016, 17 onwards. There is some nice ones there. But then from that period back towards the early noughties, again, it's just... I don't know what happened with football kits. I don't think we really paid attention, but I certainly didn't pay attention to how bad kits in general really were in that era. But Genoa had some horrendous ones. But then, like always, we can always rely on the 90s to bring back, well, not wonderful memories for Genoa, because obviously you've just said the 1930s and 20s was, but kit-wise... kit wise, they're doing all right. They are doing all right. You've got the 19, anything from 92 really through all the 90s.
It does pain me to say it, but they had some, particularly their away kits, because their home kit is so limited.
Yeah.
You've got a halved kit, so you've got a sort of like a navy blue and like a sort of a darker red, like a burgundy. They're called the Rosso blue. We call them a few other names. But yeah, they're quite limited. Sampdoria at the same time is limited, but the beauty is the fact the shirt is. I mean, I know I'm wearing the third kit from 93, 94 now, but the beauty of them is it is so iconic. All you've got to do is a very simple shirt to do a Sampdoria shirt well, and the less you do, the better the shirt is. So it's very simple. I mean, this shirt is just a simple shirt, a collar, bit of detail in the collar, and that's it. Sponsor, badge on the arm. Job done.
Like we were saying with Boca Juniors last week with the band, and the band sometimes it kind of not ruined, it kind of limited the Boca shirts and made them not as good as they can be.
Yeah,
I think the Sampdoria shirts with that band, I think the band is the complete opposite. I don't think it limits them. I think it makes the shirt.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything else with it because the shirts all got this. So for those who don't know, the club was formed in 1946. Oh my god, this is becoming the Sampdoria special. But the club was formed in 1946. Samp Tube Kit Channel. It's formed. They're called it's UC Sampdoria. So it's like Union Calcio Sampdoria. So Union of football team Sampdoria. So there's two teams. There's St. Pier which were like the dockyard club in the town, not the workers club. And then you had Andrea Doria, which is a club a little bit further sort of down towards the east, like on sort of not the way out of the city, but not like Genoa is like the posh bit, the Castello, like that's where they pride themselves. They're up on the hill, all the posh lads, all the money, and we've got our old club. We're all founded by the English people. So Sampdoria was formed out of these two clubs in 1946. Post-war, Italy was need to head in a new direction, and that was how they did it. So these two clubs formulated, and that's why you have Sampdoria. So you have Sampdoria, Sampiranese, Andrea Doria, Sampdoria.
Okay.
So a little bit of brief history. Whereas it obviously Genoa, a much older club, and I could literally pull out Samp kits for ages. So it's not fair on all the other teams. There's much bigger derbies. Realistically, there is bigger derbies in Italy, but it's a great derby because it's one of the best stadiums in Italy. It's fantastic. It's right on top of the pitch. The atmosphere is incredible. The architecture is great. The kits are quite iconic. Ours are much more visually iconic, especially the home kit. There's other kits who wear that same sort of layout. You've got Cagliari, Bologna, for instance.
I always get Genoa and Bologna mixed up when I see the shirts.
And Cosenza also have a very similar looking kit. So although it's their colours, it's not a very iconic, whereas Sampdoria's is absolutely individual. Like, I mean, it's only Whitby Town who have something similar, but as a copy. So that says what it is. So yeah, it's one of those rare ones. So we're lucky like that. We've got a good kit, and you could go for it. But you'll find a lot more iconic Samp kits in there, and that's it.
Can I ask you then? We'll finish on this derby then. Dare I ask if you? I don't know if you'll answer this. To pick out I don't want to say favorite Genoa shirt. The Genoa shirt you hate the least. Is that a fair question?
I think obviously you've put me in a heavy legal entanglement, and I will be speaking to my agent Big Pete about this.
I had to do it with Liverpool last week, is all I'm saying.
That's true. That is true. That's true. You know what? Fair point. I'll let you have this one. Swine. If I had to go for one that I didn't like the least, it probably would be one of their away kits. I quite admire. That's the right word to use. I have an amount of respect for the yellow Kenwood kit. I thought when they got sponsored by Kenwood, I thought that was it's a good brand. Randomly, Kenwood had a factory near me in Portsmouth. Loads of people work there, which is just a totally random fact. So yeah, I'll go for that one. Everyone knows it. I think it's the 93, maybe 92, 93, 93, 94-ish
94,
era.
95.
Okay, there we go.
I can see it actually behind you on your rail there, actually, if you want to.
Mate, I nearly fucking looked. If you want to the back and see the screen, I nearly looked behind me out of like disgust. That's like, what? No, Christ, what they have? At that time as well, Genoa weren't actually like that bad. Side note, Genoa are called Genoa, but the city's Genova. So there's a V in there. It's called Genoa because it's the English spelling or English pronunciation of Genova.
Ah, right, okay.
So, and the reason for that is because Genoa are called, I think Genoa CFC or CFC Genoa, and they're I think the only team in Italy. This is another interesting fact. So they're the only team in Italy where their actual initials are all spelled out in English because the club was founded by English people in the city in 1898, I believe, and that's or 1899. They are 1898. They are the oldest club. Oh no, shit, they're older than that. I think they're 1893, 1892.
So they're like the Brexit FC of Italy.
They're the pre-Brexit FC. They're like there because loads of it's one of the biggest trading areas to the region, and like basically used to come down, and that's used to be you start your trade route, and that's when you used to get on the water on the Med. Yeah, so very popular sort of place for commercial stuff. That's the port is massive. It's absolutely massive. I've got a feeling it is actually the biggest port on the Mediterranean, commercial port on the Med, I think. So you got stuff like that going on, but the club's initials, it's like CFC Genoa, is Genoa Cricket and Football Club.
Oh well, there you go then. Yeah.
So, which annoys me because obviously I love cricket beyond belief, and
do you support the right team in that derby?
Well, this is the thing. It's like although they've got that link, they never really have any English players. Where Sampdoria went through his phase of having like loads of British and English players. So we had, you have like Liam Brady, Trevor Francis, Graham Souness, David Platt, to a lesser extent, Lee Sharp and Danny Dichio. Right now, we've got Ronaldo Vieira, who's English, used to play for Leeds. And yeah,
last season before, whatever it was. Yeah.
One of the best names ever. So it's by rights, probably should be supporting Genoa, but because like Sampham, I don't know. It's just, I love David Platt and the kit's better, so it was just a win-win.
Lastly then, what is your favourite? I think you've probably answered this when you were on as an actual guest, but what's your favourite Sampdoria shirt then?
It's my favourite Sampdoria shirt. It's the 95-96 away kit. I wax lyrical about that all the time. They are kids. Long sleeve, short sleeve, it's awful because it's got square cut. Long sleeve's got these lovely little cuffs on there. Look at them beauties. Have a look at that on YouTube. That's why you sit and watch it. It's just great. It's just a great shirt. I love the sponsor on it. I love the jacquard going through it. It's just everything. So that's my favourite. That's my favourite Samp kit. And then that's from the same year. That's the home kit, and that's a Davide Balleri match worn shirt. The home kit. It's just good. This is the same year when Clarence Seedorf played at Sampdoria, and of course we had like Sinisa Mihailovic and Christian Carambeau, and a whole host of talent. The year after that, Montella turned up. So Mancini was still there at that time. Yeah, quality. That's my favourite because it's got all the good bits. And then there's also a couple of others as well. But that's it. We've spent 25 minutes and I've just fished off Sampdoria, which I didn't want to spend time doing. But
I've learned a lot though about that. That's why I was interested. That's why I wanted to do this as well, because I get to learn a lot about the actual. Because I know obviously about English football and the derbies and various other famous derbies, but with some Italian derbies, I'm none the wearer. But now I've had a little bit of a history lesson, so we'll jump in the car, mate. We'll go up. We'll go up or down the country. I'm not too sure. Where are we driving to?
Okay, I'll start with let's go out to Turin. Let's get into Juventus. Juve kit behind me there. That's the 98, 99 kit. So we'll go up to Juventus, up to Turin, in particular. Two clubs operate out of that city. Two well-known clubs. I don't really like Torino, but I do like their jackets, annoyingly. So so Torino and Juventus, two teams out of Turin. One plays at the Grande Stadio Olimpico or something, Turin. Like, if you ever go, it's one of the worst stadiums. It's the coldest ground in world football. When you go watch Torino rather. It's one of the coldest grounds in world football. It's one of the worst. It's got a massive ring around it, and then you've got this massive barrier that's so thick and so heavy duty that you actually can't sit in the front like 7 or 8 rows. So you've got a stadium that's massive. It's ginormous. It's like a spaceship on stilts. And then you turn up there and you actually can't get anywhere near it. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. It's almost always raining. I had probably the best time last time I was in Turin was probably like the best time I've had in Turin, and I've been there 5 times. I just can't get on with the place at all. Just don't like it. I think it's because I stayed like about a mile outside the city. It made it palatable. But here's 2 jackets from, I believe, the same season. So here's an ABM Torino jacket, and that is a Danone Juve jacket, and the backs are just beyond belief. So one's got Indesit on it, and the other one's got Danone, massive, great big Danone for the Juve, and just amazing sleeve tape. Kappa and ABM, absolutely top of their game. The Torino jacket, if it didn't have it, I probably wouldn't have this, but it's got this lovely gold trim, this yellowy piping going through it. It's stunning. And then the Juve's got this brilliant blue, lovely old stitched badge, the old prancing horse in there with the crown above it, 2 stars before they got their 3rd star, and that's it. So that's the sort of, that's one of your derbies in Italy. Torino, less like Toro. Not that many people would necessarily know that's there, if you know what I mean. As a derby, Toro aren't really a very big club. They used to be huge. Then there was a plane crash, I think 1952, 51, and there's the hill of Superga, which is on the hill on the way out, and I think there's a plane taking off going to a game, and the plane crashed in fog. It was coming into land, and it crashed basically straight into the side of a mountain.
Oh, fucking
in really heavy fog. And if you're ever in Turin, you'll see why it's so hard, because basically the whole city, when you're in Turin, it's actually really flat. The actual city itself is really flat to walk around, and it's in a basin surrounded by mountains. So as soon as you go outside of like the central business area, you're just straight into hills. It's like a real fluke. This is such a big expanse of flat space, and there's a river snaking through it and everything. So when you go in there, it's easy to understand what happened. But that basically killed the entire Torino team. And this Torino team were like, at the time, they were one of, if not the best team in Italy by, a decent, it was them and then pretty much everyone else in Italy. I'm not taking a piss. They were absolutely amazing. Yeah. And as a club, they never recovered. It's not like Man United where it defined them. They've had success since, but they were like winning titles, winning cups, everything. They were like a truly brilliant team, and they had that air disaster, and that was it. So yeah, Torino's never really been able to recover and challenge. They just sort of fell away as a result of that. And it was, I got a feeling it's not like United as well, where you lost 8 players. I think it was like almost their entire team died.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was like coach, a lot. It was a really bad disaster.
Yeah, I remember when, I think it was J and AA went to Juventus. I can't remember who they're playing, but they were outside the Allianz Stadium, and in the background it's just like picturesque mountains. I was just like, that is so like bizarre that's there, and that's obviously why then, because it's like a valley almost, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean the Allianz was called the Delle Alpi, A lot of people still call it a Delle Alpi because it is the stadium of the Alps.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's good. And actually, the Delle Alpi, you have to go quite a bit outside the city to get there. Whereas the Grande Torino Stadium is it's semi-central to the city. So it's not too. You can sort of get to it quite quick. You can walk to it from the city centre. It's not too bad. Whereas Delle Alpi, honestly, mate, you've got to get like a bus or you go on like a scooter or but it does take a fair bit to get out there. Train is worth the trains like San Siro. You really have to get on the metro to get out to it. Yeah. But yeah, Juve are probably one of the most unpopular teams in Italy.
Yeah, I don't know much about, like I said, Italian does, but I know there's Juve one of the most disliked teams over there, definitely.
Yeah, most of it comes off the back of their success and the economic success of Turin as a city. The two biggest financial cities in Italy are Milan and Turin. On top of that, you have Juve's success through the 90s, a much more sort of consistent success. And then you've had the recents at times where, 7 in a row under Allegri?
Yeah.
Plus, a couple of others, but generally like a really disliked team because of that. And as a result, they've picked up some rather random derbies. So, for instance, Piemonte, where Turin is up in it's the far, keep going and you're in Switzerland, basically. That's it. And France, you would never expect to have a derby, for instance, with Fiorentina. But they do have, it's more from Fiorentina's side than it is Juve. They don't specifically hate Fiorentina, but because everybody hates Juve, you end up with it. So I'll just pull out a couple of kits from sort of similar seasons. A lot of my stuff is sort of 90s and mid 90s. So yeah, I'll have to sort of go into the archive. So I'll tell you what, I'll go back in time a little bit. And I'll go to the shirt archive. I've got a few to show off here. So let's go back to this is my oldest Fiorentina kit. This is mostly for James Campbell Taylor because I know he absolutely hates Juve. Fiorentina's main derby realistically is Empoli, right? That is the derby, the Tuscan derby, basically the derby of Tuscany. So this is a player issue, possible match worn Fiorentina shirt from 1991-92.
Love that shirt.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
And I got this for something like 40 quid. It was a proper steal in the good old days of eBay.
I was gonna say that'll be back in the day, definitely.
Yeah, before God love him, but before Ellis started telling everyone how to get cheap shirts.
Yeah, bringing people like me over to the scene.
So that kit would have been aligned with, if I can find it, I've got a load on the floor here, so I'm having to sort of stand up here. So here we go. So this is the 1991-92 corresponding Juve kit. So that would have been a derby back then. It was 1991-92. That's what you'd have seen at the Artemo Franchi. You've probably seen something like that.
Wow, so, that is beautiful, isn't it?
And that's got a 6 on the back, but again, I don't like to totally say it, but I know pretty much dead cert that this would have been a player spec shirt. So I'm almost certain on that one. This Juve one, maybe, but it is all screen printed, and it's just got the right size 6 on the back and the right type of print. But again, I don't like to sort of guess on it too much. The derby itself, it comes from, like I say, it's mostly Juve success. So plus a few injustices. So when things have happened at the same time, so when they played in games, for instance, I think Fiorentina were going for a title in the early 80s, and both had 2 games. They're both playing at the same time, and like one team Juve seemed to get the decisions that got them the title, whereas Fiorentina were denied a few things. Had a goal ruled out in that game, and so the soft sort of just built up tit for tat. Like Fiorentina were building in the 80s a team to win the league. They really wanted it, and they just couldn't get it done. Whereas Juve, that's when they sort of really started stepping on gas and getting all the success. The Platini years, for instance, going through, and then almost their massive sort of explosion in the 90s as well., likes of Vialli and all that lot joining. And then 92 and 93, 93 and 94, 95 and 96, 97 and 98, 99 and 100, 101 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14, 15 and 16, 17 and 18, 19 and 20, 21 and 22, 23 and 24, 25 and 26, 27 and 28, 29 and 30, 31 and 32, 33 and 34, 35 and 36, 37 and 38, 39 and 40, 41 and 42, 43 and 44, 45 and 46, 47 and 48, 49 and 50, 51 and 52, 53 and 54, 55 and 56, 57 and 58, 59 and 60, 61 and 62, 63 and 64, 65 and 66, 67 and 68, 69 and 70, 71 and 72, 73 and 74, 75 and 76, 77 and 78, 79 and 80, 81 and 82, 83 and 84, 85 and 86, 87 and 88, 89 and 90, 91 and 92, 93 and Juve have a habit of buying everyone's best players as well.
Yeah,
And
I've always had that inkling with them. Bit like
they
Bayern
are
in the German league.
definitely they are the Bayern of Italy, and that's why people don't like them. They bought Chiesa recently,
Yeah.
and anyone going that route from Fiorentina to Juve, they just call him a traitor. It's like oh, you've done it again. The biggest transfer of that instance is probably at least the greatest Italian player of all time, which is Roberto Baggio. He left Juve for Fiorentina for Juve in 19. Oh, I'm gonna say 89, 90. I think it might have been 88. He left to go join Juventus. It was a big transfer. I think it was a world record at the time transfer. But
But
you think, for instance, when I'm trying to think of a signing in the UK of something similar. So when Man United signed Wayne Rooney,
yeah.
right? Was there, for instance, a riot where multiple people died as a result of the riot?
No, I'll maybe for like an example, an English example, one that jumped to me, Van Persie to United, maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember there being fatal riots in Islington as a
No.
result.
Maybe if Steven Gerrard went to Chelsea or United, if his autobiography has you to
Yeah,
believe.
there might have been a nasty pasty incident, or someone might have spilt a glass of rosé over that one. But no, in this instance, there was like deadly riots in Florence as a result of Baggio making that move, because it was almost like he was the jewel in the crown. They spent all the money on getting him in as an 18-year-old from I think it was Piacenza, and then for him to
Yeah.
go. He did have a bad knee injury, but at the time it's the first time he did his cruise ship, but still Juve stuck. They went, you know what? Despite that, we're still going to take him. And he did sort of journeyman himself a little bit around. From Juve, went to like Milan, Inter,
Yeah.
ended up in Bologna as well for a little bit, but it's still that move was just. It sort of almost surmises the whole rift between the clubs, and they hate it. It's much more Fiorentina hating
Juve.
Juventus and Juventus reveling in the fact they hate them so much. It's like they're living rent free in Fiorentina's head. So it's sort of a bit of a derby. So I've got that one in there. I've got a couple of others. So I've got the 90. So when this actually, you know what? I was pointless me showing you this shirt, but because it was a shirt they didn't wear, they wouldn't have played each other, because this is when this shirt was from when Fiorentina got relegated to Serie B, and it's the one of the 7-Up shirts by All Sport, long sleeve, gorgeous, amazing jacquard. All Sport are a fantastic kit manufacturer. We'll get into them a bit later. Batistuta have been playing in that era, and this is the 95, 96 Fiorentina home kit, and that would have come up against something like, probably would have come up against something like that.
They're just so like the Juve, like the Fiorentina shirts, like there's like patterns going on. There's different like, do you know what I mean? Different design ideas. With Juve, it's the black and white stripes, but they're so simple, just yet they're stunning.
The one thing is, from wearing a shirt style, the one thing Juve has is that black and white stripes go great with jeans. I know this sounds like Clarkson's wardrobe here, but like, it's such an easy one. Long sleeve black and white shirt with a pair of blue jeans and a pair of Spezials on. You're laughing, mate. You're there, done. So yeah, I thought I'd give a bit of a shout to that. I mean, like I say, Fiorentina's main rivalry is Empoli, but again, it's another team that is rivaled with Juventus. Another team. Let's go for another team. This is a more socio-economic rivalry. So this will be the North and the South. For those who've watched the Diego Maradona documentary, you'll see the sort of grief that Napoli get, and the people in Naples get from people in the north, and they do really talk badly about Naples. Naples is quite socially it's horrific because of the damage that the mafia did to the sort of like the funding, governmental funding in the area, the local funding.
Yeah.
So that the city in large areas is in quite bad state. You know, if you ever watch like shows like Gomorrah, you'll see that it's just sort of like white elephant after white elephant of social regeneration that doesn't work out. And obviously, Juve are quite happy to tap into other people's misery. So, for instance, here will be a Napoli kit. Is a Napoli and Juve double. So here is the Napoli kit from, I think this will be 1994-95 home kit, and that'll be the corresponding Juve kit. In fact, this Juve kit might be 93, no, 94, 95. Yeah, it might be the same year. It might well be the same year. I'm terrible on years of kit, so don't hate me for this. But Capra got it's the Danone sponsor, 2 yellow stars or 2 gold stars just above as well onto the what would be the left chest there, and the Juve's got the little tiny Juve logo in the collar. Very simple. Big number block on the back, like a square number block to take a white number or red number, depending on what they want to do that year. And lovely Danone sponsor in the middle. That's all screen printed. The cap is stitched, the stars are stitched, lovely, and a little sleeve cuff on there as well. And again, another Italian giant brand, Lotto, with the Record Cucine sponsor. I think that's Record Kitchen. Don't hold me to that. And then it's got the Napoli badge on there. Lotto, it's got a lovely graphic print going through. A few teams had that print, by the way. We'll get into that later on. There's another team, and then a really nice sleeve. That in long sleeve is fantastic. And then the year later, they brought this shirt out. It's almost exactly the same kit, but it actually had like a jacquard, like a weave going through it. And the same thing happened to Lotto did that with a kit, so it's a bit of a small change.
Yeah.
And that ended up looking a bit like this one is. This is from Wally the Third kit. And this one's fantastic. So this is the away kit from the same year of away kit the year after, but the same series. So this shirt comes in just plain screen printed, but this one's screen printed into a jacquard. So in there they've stuck a Lotto logo. They've got the Napoli N going through there as well. The Lotto badge on this one, for instance, is stitched with a nice stitched on embroidered badge. And then long sleeves with lovely little sleeve cuffs at the bottom there to match the collars, button. Lovely, just gorgeous. But that's you probably wouldn't have ever seen that because Napoli wouldn't have needed to wear an away kit when they're playing against Juventus. But it's just a good sort of iteration of how they sort of change things up. Lotto, just to sort of keep it fresh, but just to get those year-on-year versions. I mean, this Juve kit's quite iconic. You get these for like under £100, by the way. So if you ever want to get a decent Juve kit or just a decent classic kit, you're not struggling. But yeah, some other Napoli kits. Have a little look at this one here. Lotto one from later on. This one, I believe, is from 96, 97.
Bang
maybe.
Bang on again.
Good, I like that. Thank you very much. Lovely. So embroidered Lotto, Napoli badge on there, Napoli crest, a bit more refined this time. The stitching's a bit tighter, and then Centrale Latte di Napoli. So probably don't shoot me for that pronunciation.
A definite noticeable shade of blue.
Definitely, and this is Napoli were much darker in the 90s. They're a lot lighter these days, in my opinion. I think, although behind me there's a Kappa version there where it's quite a dark blue. They do float around. They do go lighter blues and then go darker. Enea had them in very light blues, more in the Argentine Alba Celeste type sort of thing. On the sleeve of this Napoli shirt, there's a lovely little SSC Napoli little thing just stuck onto the sleeve there, just holding up to the camera. So it's just like a little bit of, it's only screen printed on, nothing's too special, but it's just a lovely kit. Cool sponsor, cool club, you know, very iconic. And sort of these two teams were really, they're also, their other rivalry comes from the fact that during the 80s, they were also really going for success. Particularly Napoli, much more successful there. The Diego Maradona arrived and just transformed an entire city. You know, my mind, the greatest player of all time. And yeah, just sort of turned it around. So you had this big, you know, I remember if you've watched the Diego Maradona documentary where it's all off file footage and stock footage, they knew they could win the title. It all hinged on how they played against Juventus and what the result was. And there was a sort of sign that things were going to change before they won it. The year before they won it, it was like, can we beat this lot? And they came very close. And I've got a feeling they drew, or lost, but played incredibly well. Like looked really good. And they said, well, you know what, we can beat this lot. They aren't invincible. And the next year they did beat them. I think they beat them 2-0 at the San Paolo. And I'm pretty sure that was a result. And it almost gave them the belief. So their rivalry is like a socio-economic, but then it's also Napoli's challenging them for success in the 80s and building up that. So it's quite a tasty game. And if you wear a Juve shirt around Naples, you'll see videos of people doing it and getting a load of fucking grief. You know, you can wear a Napoli shirt around Juve, no one really give you too much shit.
Yeah.
Or not as much shit. But if you wear a Juve shirt around Naples, they take it as a bit of an insult. So it's you know, like you'll get like, what the fuck are you wearing that for? Fuck off, you know. So you get that as a sort of likeness, yeah. I'll just try and say, I mean, one thing Juve did have bad was Kappa's kits were pretty poor up until sort of 92 period where they sort of changed the design. When you imagine like Napoli were wearing this kit, this Umbro shirt, amazing, absolutely stone cold stun of this. So this is the Napoli 91 to 93 home kit. One of my favourite patterns is that this pattern was used for a few teams, but this iteration of it is my absolute favourite. Viello, the pasta maker. Viello, I think it might be pronounced as. I'm terrible at that. So they would have played out against that sort of rather impish looking Kappa kit. If I get out, here we are. So here's the two kits holding up to the camera. So these two kits will play each other in the same year, and the Juve kit just looks like a hangover from the 80s. It proper looks like, you know, Upim, the department store sponsor there being, you know, big floppy collar, and then you got this like button collar, just material wise, it just looks like years ahead.
No, it looks like two different like sports, never mind shirts.
Yeah, and to think that's the same time. So you can see where technology was going. You can see why Umbro was such a market leader at that time, and Kappa, you know, really did. They were just. It's when they really started to do football kits, and they inherited a lot of designs and stuff. So it was, that design's been this actual layout shirt. Sampdoria had the same one 4 years before.
Yeah.
In fact, so did Juve. To be honest, it's a shirt design that stayed for ages, and then all of a sudden, things come along like that Napoli kit. For me, that's when Umbro started going into Italy. Was when Italian football really started to catch up, or at least be shown what was the future, sort of thing, like where shirt design could go.
Sure, yeah.
And then I'll just go for one more derby for Juve, and it's called the Derby d'Italia, which is it's almost a derby based on who is just the most competitive.
Yeah, this is like outside of obviously the Milan derby and the Rome derby. This is the other derby that I'm quite familiar with.
So yeah, you got the Derby d'Italia. So yeah, Juventus. It's the battle of the financial powerhouses. So like I said earlier, the two biggest ones are Milan and Turin. So you've got Inter and Juve. At a time for AC Milan have been good at certain periods, but sort of really started to go mental towards the mid to late 80s, and that's when they started winning like European championships and all this, and they really started to take off as a team. That, you know, they're always a big team, but they became bigger. They're like a grand old team of Italy, you know what I mean? Inter were formed as like a reactionary thing because Milan wouldn't let foreign players play for them, so you had to be from Italy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's how Inter was formed, because there's people from like British people, or like, cause that's another one. You'll see the cross on there.
Yeah,
It'll be like
yeah.
some sort of English influence at Inter, something like that probably. I think there's one. There was. Oh, you know what? I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because I don't know these clubs. I don't know their absolute histories in and out, but I know basically one of the main sticking points was Inter was formed because players who weren't Italian wanted to play, and they just formed on the result of that. So that's why Inter's a younger club. That's why they're called Internazionale, international.
Yeah.
So the other derby will be this one. So I'll pull out a couple of the Inter kits that would have played Juve at the time. I've had to really like ration my Juve kits, to be honest, mate.
There is. I'll just quickly, like, before you fire off this absolute fire that you're going to bring, some of the Inter shirts in the 90s again, especially. But I think even during the noughties, with they did the T90, that template. I think that's one of the only teams it worked with was Inter. And then you move into the Herman Crespo, Zlatan, Adriano era with like the gold Pirelli sponsor, the St. George's Cross away shirt, and then like we've said it. Well, I've said it quite a few teams that we've had in these derbies, like the noughties and like the early 20 teens have had shit shirts, but Inter for me, just maybe barring one or two, obviously every team's gonna have it, but just banger, or at least good shirt after good shirt after good shirt, home, away, and third. So fair enough to them.
No, I mean, to be fair, like you had for me, like I think it's like Cambiasso, Inter. It was just fantastic, and Mourinho steered a slightly older team.
Yeah, Stankovic, Milito, players like that. Yeah,
but sort of semi-journeyman people who all their stuff come into them a lot later in their career. Cambiasso had been around for a long time by that point, so. Yeah, I love Esteban Cambiasso, absolute monster.
Until he scored in the 5-3 win for Leicester against United, that's when my love for that man died.
Mate, that's everyone forgets Cambiasso played for Leicester.
Yeah, can't mention Inter without mention Javier Zanetti as well.
Oh my good
God.
Just one of the best. I mean, I'll say I'll put him in my all-time 90s draft, and I just think he's one of the best players. Definitely one of the best players Argentina's ever produced, and just in a legend. Just loved it. Just played so long, so reliable, such good condition. So these two here, this is the 2000-2001 kits. That I believe is Zinedine Zidane's last year of Juve kit, if I'm right. He went to Madrid in the summer of 2001. I'm almost certain. And then that Inter kit. I actually love this kit. Thanks Tom Broughton for this one. Stunner. Yeah, love it. Pirelli sponsor, round neck collar. They basically did exactly the same shirt. I think it was 98 to 99, or it might have been the year before, like 97, 98. They had exactly the same kit. But with but there are some very slight differences. Like the fabric is like actually a two-tone sort of blue black. It's a really good material. So the 2000-2001 is a lot better in the kit. Lovely collar on it, sleeve cuff. If you can get it in long sleeve, result. And now it's Lotto's first year at Juve. There we go. I got there in the end. So that's basically a derby built on, just the sheer size of the clubs and their success. It's and the sort of the two powerhouse regions going at it. It is your Liverpool, Man United of Italian football, and also the quality is on average so good between both teams.
Who do you think does the better shirts out of the two?
I
thought I had a clear winner personally, but it's a lot closer than I thought.
I think if you look at kits, so from the 90s onwards, other than a few years, I'd say Juve do more, but recently they've been horrific. Yeah. Whereas for me, Inter recently have been a lot better. Inter had amazing away kits. They've done. I could dig out some ridiculous Inter away kits. I would say if we're having a scrap now, I think Inter Milan probably win it because over the course of their entire history, they are better. I have got 2 unbelievable Inter Milan kits. Oh, you know what? It's just
Yeah, fucking get them.
Honestly, yeah, it's what the show's for. So
I at the start of this, I was Inter all the way, and then as you've been pulling out the Juve shirts, I've had a better look through the archive.
Yeah,
it's a lot closer than I thought, but it's just like you said, some of them away in third shirts fit in there, and then I think maybe them early Lotto shirts, the early noughties Lotto shirts for Juve, I think kind of let them down, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just some of the Lotto stuff wasn't great. And even the Nike Juve stuff, I actually think is majority shit. So yeah, actually, it's quite a clear winner at the Milan to me then. So this is the 88, 89 away kit, I believe. All Sport manufacturers. I said we get on the All Sport later. And on the just above the badge, it has IMAS, which I believe is like the Inter Milan Academy. Now, it sounds stupid. It's either Academy something. I don't know what it is. But I think it's possibly Slovenia. Don't really know why, but it's some sort of it's an age groups shirt. It's got an original number 9, and you can tell it's the original number 9. It's super thick vinyl, like this. You just, it's just ridiculous. Honestly, mate, that'd hit you hard in the face than one of those leather balls from back in the day. That vinyl. I had the Missouri replaced on it because it was just absolutely, it was gone. But yeah, long sleeve, lovely kit, and this is when they had their snake logo as well.
I love the nod to the home shirt colours in the middle of it as well.
Yeah, so I mean they brought sort of, we've gone on a side Inter trip here, haven't we? But they redid that with that they did that with the what was it, third kit from the fourth kit they brought out at the end of it, they had the Inter token. So that is, so they sort of Nike did a little bit of an homage to that in Monza colour.
Yeah.
That's a great kit.
That is
so
good.
Underrated.
What spec is that? Standard or
standard, mate? Yeah, standard. I didn't like the stuff that Nike did with this the over swirly pat. It didn't relate to straight lines. So it's alright doing a jacquard or some sort of weave shit, but when it does, it completely detracts from the shirt. There's just no point. Honestly, mate, I just don't give Nike's vaping it stuff. Most of the time for me is a bit of an all ADV fit. It's always a bit of a miss for me. Not a fan. So yeah, I think things like that are pretty good. There's one shirt that I've got which is currently with a guy to refurb the name set. It's super rare. You might not even be able to find it on your system. It's the Inter Milan 88-89 third kit. It's yellow, and they never wore it in a game. Basically, it's that white kit, but yellow and blue, like diagonals.
Yeah.
It's got the number 11. Now, there's a very specific flock they used that year for the All Sport had for the numbers on the back. That's like the generic. This one here with the 9 on the back. That's like the generic squad stuff they used.
Yeah.
There's a completely different type of 9 stuck on the back. So I think this one, I've got a feeling this is either 89-90. So they changed the color. They changed the flock type on the back. And the other one I've got is, basically this. It's so fucking rare, mate. But it's got a number 11 on the back. So it's been made for a player, and they just never used it ever. Not at one point in the season did they need the shirt.
That, for context watchers and listeners, by the way, we've just spent a good 5 minutes trying to find a picture of this Inter Milan shirt, and it's that rare. There's not even a fucking picture of it anywhere.
But it does, and I had it okayed. I remember looking at it going,
yeah.
I know, when you know.
Yeah.
it was one of those, and yeah, and it's everything on it. Like the Missouri on it is absolutely done in. Like all you can see is the glue being so distinct that it was there.
Fucking
Where the
hell.
flock's gone. The back number is a bit tatterized, but it's still very the flock on there is excellent still for the condition of the shirt and the age of the shirt. Short sleeve. It's got these little tiny white vents underneath it. It's yellow. It's like this, like that satin, you know, so it's slightly glossy sort of fabric. It was just, I remember seeing it. Someone sent us, "Oh, are you interested in some shirts?" And this person was like, "I don't know what it is." And now let's just, now I'm not the sort of person to take advantage of someone, right? But, and anyone out there who collects shirts will know that when you get someone from certain countries where, for instance, they're buying the shirts in a bundle for like £3 and then trying to not even know what it is. They're asking you what it is, what it's worth, and then trying to get you to part with CFS money for it because they're taking the piss, right? Now, we've all had those people drop into our inbox, and sometimes you deal with them and it's great. Other times, stuff don't turn up and you lose £400, for instance. In this instance, I went, yeah, mate, don't know. I've looked for it, I can't find it, but I just knew I knew what that was.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, the condition is terrible. Like, I can't find it anywhere. Look, I like the shirt. I said it might be like a training top. I said it's not really worth much. I was like, I know that's a third kit. I know that's a fucking third kit. So I thought, fuck it. And I said, mate, I'll give you £40 for it because it could be something, but I can find no evidence of it. And he was like, yeah, okay, £40. And I think I said, like, just chuck it in his bundle. I spent like £200-300 with this guy. And all the other stuff, it's still marked up. Stuff, it's not sell on prices, but it was all like, you know, like collector prices. And I just thought, you know what, I just want to, I've got to have some fucking justice here. And so yeah, I took it, and it's in for refurb at the minute, mate. It is unreal.
You're gonna have to. I'm sorry, mate. You're gonna have to dig out a picture of it because I want to see it. I want to see what the
Mate,
shirt looks
in
like.
3 weeks when we go shirts boots, I'll have it. No, 4 weeks when we go shirts boots, I'll have it for you.
Fucking, I can't believe.
And it's one of the rarest shirts I've got. Like I say, it was the Inter third kit from '88. They never used it in the game. It was never sold, but they had them made for the squad. I don't know what game they might have used it for, or who would have played. They only clash with, like, even when they played Lazio, they would have played in their home kit. They would have had to have played in their away kit because the difference in blue is so strong. So you know, things like that. But yeah, that pretty much covers that. So yeah, if we're picking a Derby Italia winner, it's going to be.
Is that where that question is? Is that where we started with that?
That's where we started on that question 10 minutes ago. If you're picking a Derby Italia winner, it's going to be. It's going to be Inter for me. I think they've had too many absolute rockets down the years. And that's not even getting on to like 96, 97.
Funny enough, you mentioned 96, 97 because I only have a few, maybe 1 or 2 shirt regrets.
Yep.
And the 96, 97 Inter third shirt, that yellow one with the black panels down the side with the writing International in the black panels. I raffled that. Fucking don't know why I raffled it. And then as soon I was packaging it up to the raffle winner, and I was just like, I want to give everyone their money back because I can't get rid of this shirt. And yeah, there it went. I fucking regret it so much.
Was it in good nick as well?
It was basically excellent.
Wow. So
I think maybe a tiny little pull on the back. I think it was always wrong with it.
Oh,
and now when I'm looking at trying to bring it back into my collection, £200 odd. I'm like, oh my god.
Mate, sometimes you get shirt regret big time.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. It is probably the worst. Randomly, probably my biggest shirt regret is a Wales 1992,
you
93
regret buying
kit.
it?
No, I regret selling it. Really regret selling it. Sold it to a guy, Jonathan Hughes, I think it was. It's like a Wales collector. Got into it, basically completed the Wales kits, and then was like, oh, I need some money. and then just started like selling all his kits back off again. And I was like, I knew it went to a good home, but it was
Not
just
your home.
frustrating.
Not
Yeah,
your
because
home.
it's the design of everyone. You ever see it? It's unbelievable. But we could do kit regret as an episode on its own. So yeah, now we've left Turin, and we're heading off to Milan. And I think at that point, to really get into I'd say the two biggest city derbies in Italy, if not Europe, we should leave that for a little sneaky part 2 of the Italian derbies on their own.
Yeah, I think them two derbies themselves should get an extra hour themselves dedicated to them too. It's only fair.
Definitely. We won't tell you what cities. It could be Verona.
Florence.
That's good. Yeah. Just Florence. Fiorentina Empoli kits through the years. That's it. Oh wait, no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Mate, I've looked at the calendar today. It's the 15th of April. I can't believe how close shirts versus boots is.
Mate, I know. It's coming around a month today. Liverpool, Bootle FC.
And there will be no fucking quadruple parade. There'll be no fucking title parade. Oh, get me there. Get me there.
Liverpool, Liverpool, I don't know, mate. They really have blown it.
Get me a ticket for that game. I'll be happy enough to go to the game. There's no title parade. I'll wave Klopp off myself. Auf Wiedersehen. Yes.
Oh, mate, it's gonna. I still think it's City gonna fuck something up. They don't have that. There's something not right with City this year.
No, that's it.
Yeah, they're just conceding.
When Liverpool lost yesterday, I was like, yes. And then that fucking Arsenal again. I was just watching it I obviously want Arsenal to win, but I don't support them whatsoever. But anyway, shirts versus boots, mate.
No problems there. Hopefully, Boots will accept their fate and take a drubbing. That's what we want to see. So yeah, that should be class, mate. Get yourself there. Free entry, 18th of May, 11 a.m. doors, 2 p.m. kickoff. Usyk Fury boxing afterwards in town. We've got tables booked and all that sort of stuff.
You say that, but one of them's
we might not make it that far.
Yeah, and all that. Well, all I'm going to plug is this podcast and my other podcast, Lazy Punchery Pod's going to be. They're going to be taking a momentary hiatus while I try to look after myself and a child. So yeah, scary times, fun times, exciting times.
This could be the last time you ever hear us. By the time the reality of parenthood kicks in.
I mean, the reality of parenthood and support and watching modern day Man United, it could prove too much.
Yeah. What's the adoption services like up that way?
Well, it's Darlow. It's Darlow. So
you stick it down the pit still, can't you?
We haven't upgraded the pits yet.
It's like no sunlight daycare.
It's like 300. Just put them out in the world if they come back. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, if you want to hear us or watch us or any of the old episodes, they're all on Spotify. The more modern ones with Dan as wonderful co-host are on YouTube as he yawns while I speak.
Huh.
But yeah, they're all on YouTube, all on Spotify if you really miss us that much. But yeah, thank you for watching and listening as always. And hopefully see you sooner rather than later.
Ciao, Bella.